All right, so B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to speak a little bit of Parashat Vayechi, the last parasha on Sefer Bereshit. I want to take two issues, two segments from this parasha, to see if we could connect from it to each other, and if, of course, there's anything that we could learn for ourselves, because that's why we try to focus on personal growth and what we actually learn from this, not just like stories and fairy tales and so on and so forth. So in this parasha, I'm going to concentrate on the two issues of bracha v'slicha, forgiveness, slicha, and bracha, blessing. We have the case where Yosef brings his two children to his father, Ephraim and Menashe, or Menashe and Ephraim. He brings them to the father, and he blesses them in a blessing that it's going to become the blessing in the Jewish stockpile. It is so powerful and so wonderful, for whatever reason, that every Shabbat we repeat that ritual where the father blesses his kids after he makes Kiddush. I do it between Kiddush and Hamotzi. Other people do it before. It doesn't make a difference when you do it. As long as you do it and everybody does it, you put your two hands on the head of the child and you make a bracha for them. Our minhag is, the Sfaradi minhag is the same thing as Birkat Kohanim, by the way. Is the Sephardic minhag is, and I love it, when you go to a Sephardic shul and you see generations all being blessing. You have a grandfather, a father, children and grandchildren, and they're all under one thing, and it's a wonderful thing to see by Ashkenazim, different minhagim, but that's also the Birkat Banim, also when your child is getting married, and he has children, after, if he comes to your house, the minhag is that the father gives his sons bracha, and that's one of the things that I miss the most. Besides being with my parents, they live in Israel, I miss it so much when I not only cannot eat with my parents, and not only that I cannot get a bracha for my father, that my father cannot give a bracha to my children. So what's the big deal about it? Let's see exactly what's so much. More than that, similar to this bracha, and along the line of this bracha, we also say it in Simchat Torah. Amalach hagoeloti uyevarech et hane'arim is going to make, and we say it under the chuppah as well. It seems like, in a way, that Yaakov is only blessing Ephraim and Menashe. He's just making the bracha to his two grandchildren in that particular case. But if we're going to look a little deeper and we'll pay attention to the words, we'll see that this is not really the case. Why? Because it says, Vayevarchem bayom hahu, and he blessed them on that day. On that day, also hahu refers to the future. In other words, in time to come. He would bless them in time to come. What does that mean? He would bless them in time to come. Thank you. In other words, this bracha, or this ritual, whatever that will be a source of bracha to Am Yisrael in the future as well. There are some Mefarshim that says, okay, so what's so special about it? What's so special about this bracha? There's some Mefarshim that say that what was unique about Ephraim and Menashe was that they were the first Jewish children that were born and raised in Galut, in exile, outside of Israel. And with all the danger of living in exile, and by the way, we have to remember that exile is not always a geographic place. Sometimes you could be in exile in Israel, following rituals that you brought from over there. But these are physically the kids that grew up, the first Jewish kids that grew up outside of Israel, that were born there, and with all the temptations of assimilation and wanting to be like anybody else, they were still able to maintain their Jewish identity, and therefore many parents wish for that thing as well, for the children to maintain their Jewish identity. So, not necessarily, as you see, not necessarily in the Golah, outside of Israel. Also in Israel, there is a danger, unfortunately, of losing your Jewish identity. And that's in a way something that the parents want to do, and they want to make sure that the children will do so. But not really. If this is the case, so why didn't Yosef give him the bracha? So the father, Yaakov, should give Yosef the bracha. Why is he giving the bracha to the grandchildren? What's this thing here? If we look again a little deeper, and then we're going to look wider, we would see that this is the first and only time in the whole Tanakh that a grandfather actually blesses grandchildren. We have parents that bless their children, and so on. But it's the only time that we find a grandfather doing such an act, and he's blessing his grandchildren. And this is something very important to pay attention closely. Especially all of us, those who have still grandparents, who have the zchut to have grandparents, and those who hopefully soon become grandparents. Amen. You know? And one day you're all going to become grandparents. Just remember that. Many times, the relationship between parents and children is very stressed. It is very intense. Parents have a lot of expectations from the children. They expect them to do this. They expect them to become that. They are worried. Parents are worried for the children, and as such, they put demands. Listen, don't be a bum. Do something with yourself. Get up, pick up, and so on and so forth. The fact that the parent tells his child, pick up what you threw on the floor, is not only for the house to look clean. Not for the house to look clean, but also to give the child proper habits so he won't become a slob when he becomes bigger. But that's a demand. Children, in return, have expectation from the parents. Buy me this, don't bother me with that. Many times children rebel against their parents. Now, overall, it's very intense. Especially ages when the child needs to define himself. He tends to break away from the parents. This constant gluing and ripping and tearing creates a very tense environment. And it's not always the same. Which is not the case when we are dealing with grandparents and children. I'm sure we all remember, sometimes our parents were a little over us. We go to the grandparents, and the grandmother says, come to me, it's okay, don't worry, it's okay, right? The father will come and says, don't eat all the cookies. The grandchild will be like this, the father goes away, grandma says, it's okay, come here, I'll give you, shh, don't tell anybody, I'll give you, right? That's grandparents. We all will experience that. And what is that this relationship with grandparents is like that? Since there's no tension between the grandparents and the grandchildren, there's more room for calmness, room for love. So the relationship of a grandparent and a grandchild is one that is based out of love. It's all about love. You want something, you go to your grandfather, he'll give it to you. You want a car from your father, so that you go work for it. Your grandfather said, okay, we'll manage something, we'll get you that. That's grandparents. That's why the bracha of Yaakov to his grandchildren became the model of all brachot, of all blessing, because it's giving out of love, not of anything. When a father gives his son a bracha, he wants to make sure that he's going to become a ben Torah, he's going to become a normal person. The grandfather gives a bracha net, 100% love. And it's different. Now, Rabotai, pay attention to what we have done as a society. We took our grandparents and we put them out of commission. We dismantled this institution that is called grandparenting to the point that grandparents today don't really exist. Because I look at when I was a grandchild, when my grandparents were alive, it was a different world. I feel like I'm from the time of the dinosaurs. I might look like one, but it's not that far off. But in the last 30 years, we killed grandparenting. And guess what? Everybody suffers. The children suffer. Grandparents suffer. It's terrible. It's terrible. We do not allow our children to have a relief valve where they can go from the intense relationship as parents to something like a refuge, which is grandparents. Relax, calm down, feel 100% love. Not that we as parents don't love our children, but we have so much else going on at the time that it's not really seems to be so clear. I mean, we really realize how much our parents love us only after we have children. And I'm telling you this for a fact. You are not going to realize how much your parents love you until you have children on your own. Don't forget that. So in this kind of a relationship, when Yaakov gives the bracha pass it on to them. When Yaakov gives the bracha to his grandchildren, to Ephraim and Menashe, it seems like this is like a one-way relationship. Only the grandparent gives something to the grandchildren, and the grandchildren don't give anything in return. It doesn't look like it's normal. It doesn't look like it's a healthy relationship. And the answer is absolutely not. It's not one way. If we're going to look at it from the social point of view, the fact that the grandfather or the grandmother feel that they have a place already gives them extra years of life. Why? Because there is use for them. They're not useless. But we're not talking about that. Here we're talking about a bracha, a blessing. And how does it work? Now let me explain to you. There is a machloket, or not really a machloket, there is two different examples on a similar matter between the Talmud Yerushalmi and the Talmud Bavli. Talmud Bavli, it says in Masechet Kiddushin, Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. We just did it. I mean, we're not that, we did it, right? It says, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi Omer, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, he who taught his grandchild Torah, Ki'ilu Kibla Misinai, as like he received it from Sinai. Why? Because in Sefer Dvarim, in Perek Daled, it says, teach your children and your children's children, right? And then the pasuk after that, it says, as the day you stood before God, your Lord in Chorev. Why? So if you teach your son and your grandson, it's like you received it in Sinai, as you received it in Sinai. In Yerushalmi, though, in Masechet Shabbat, in Perek Aleph, it says the same thing with Yoshua ben Levi, or something, the same Yoshua ben Levi. And there is a story over there that he used to listen to his grandchild Divrei Torah every Friday. Every Friday, he used to take his grandson, Yalla, no, tell me, tagil li kshat Torah. One Friday, he forgot. He went to the bathhouse, and the bathing house was a big ordeal at the time. You didn't have showers at home. You had to go, and it was a big thing, and it was considered to be a pleasure, not only a necessity for one's hygiene, and especially for Shabbat, but it was a pleasure, part of this Oneg Shabbat, to immerse your body and clean your body with hot water, something great. So he went to the bathhouse one time. In the middle, he gets up and he goes. So they said to him, hey, well, Rabbi Yeshua, where are you going? He says, every Shabbat, every Friday, I listen to my grandson say Divrei Torah. This time I forgot, I gotta go. So they said to him, Rabbeinu, if a person goes on Shabbat, on Erev Shabbat, he doesn't leave, just stay, finish, it's on it. He says to him, is this something light in your eyes? Why? Because it says, he who heard the parasha from his grandson, like he heard it from Sinai. So when the first time, when the grandfather is teaching the grandson, he said, it's like the grandson received it from Sinai. The other one is when the grandson is learning Torah with his grandfather, it's like the grandfather heard it from Sinai. All right, let's not get into the difference between receiving and hearing, but you get the idea. So let me ask you a question. Who is blessing who here? You see that both of them. So when Yaakov is blessing his grandchildren, he's not only giving them a bracha, he sees and receives the bracha by them back. We say, when we have a song, Ure banim levanecha, no? Shalom al Israel, Shalom al Israel, Ure banim levanecha, and you should be able to merit to see the children of your children, and then what? Shalom al Israel. Shalom al Israel. What is Shalom al Israel? What's the connection? What's the connection between grandchildren and peace or harmony? What's the connection? And I'm deliberately using the term peace and harmony, even though when we say shalom, I like to always refer to it as harmony, not as peace, but in this case it's peace and harmony. So what's the connection? So let's take a break. First of all, no, don't take a break there. Just take a break here. You can continue eating. Let's just take a break. We do a pause, cut, and now we're going to go to, 1 second, to Yosef and his brothers. Yaakov dies. And they're preparing for a mega funeral. If you thought lehavdil, gazillion havdalot, between Nelson Mandela and Yaakov Avinu, there's nothing. You know what Egypt was at the time. There was a mourning period in Egypt when Yaakov died. They sent an entourage of chariots to bring Yaakov to Eretz Israel. It wasn't something just like that. It was out of the ordinary. So there's a big celebration. I mean, not celebration, a big noise, and Yaakov is, and so on and so forth. And on the surface, on top of the surface, everything looks fine. Everything looks okay, respectful, serious. But under the surface, things are not what it seems. Why? The brothers start to become afraid. They're afraid. Or maybe now Yaakov is dead. Yosef is going to get his revenge. So what do the brothers do? They make up a story. And they say, listen, Yosef, come here 1 second. We want to tell you something. Come. Sit, Yosef. You know, before our father died, he commanded us to tell you that you must forgive us. In other words, they want to create some kind of like guilt. You know, the father told us, you know. And what does Yosef do? Usual. Yosef cries. He starts crying again. But why is Yosef crying? Yosef is crying because he knows they are lying. How does he know? Very simple. He never told Yaakov what they did. He didn't want to cause him any tsar. He didn't want to upset Yaakov. Listen, Daddy, you know, let me tell you something. You know why I'm here? Baruch Hashem, you're here, Baruch Hashem, the family, but let me tell you something. You know why I'm here? I'll tell you why. Those sons of yours, you know what they had done to me? You know what people they are? He didn't do that. kept his mouth quiet. He never told them. So he knew they were lying. He knew they were lying. And he cried because he caught them again in a lie. And he understands how miserable they are. At what level that had to go down to again, that they had to lie again. And here comes Yosef, and he teaches them a lesson. He teaches them a lesson, but even more so, he's teaching us a lesson. And the lesson is that instead of yelling at them or rebuking them on the lie, this brute out in the open lie, it wasn't even a white lie. It was a lie. It wasn't like the Malachim came, say, it was a lie. She didn't laugh for this, she laughed for that. No, they lied in the open. Not only they lied in the Father's name. Look at what level they had to go down to. Now, Rabotai, think about all the people that you knew they are lying straight out into your face. Don't hold them. Don't judge them lechovah. Judge them lekaf zchut. See how miskenim they are. How poor these people really are. And he says to them, Hatachat Elokim maneh. Am I under God? In other words, listen, guys, I already forgot this. I'm past this thing. I forgot this thing. Don't be stuck in the past. Don't be stuck in the past. Why? Because if I, Yosef, will be carrying on and going after my anger, guess what? You think you're the only one who's going to be punished? I'm going to be punished too. And who am I going to be punishing? I'm punishing myself. Why should I punish myself? And he tells them, listen, reality of the thing is that we're getting along now. We're getting along. Everybody's getting along. And why we have to bring about and bring back something that is already past and gone? And there are people who would always do that to you. Yosef, pay attention, doesn't really say that he completely forgives them. He doesn't say, Salachti kidvarecha. He doesn't really forgive them completely. And here's a tremendous lesson, but he forgot. He forgot. And how do we know that he forgot? Because he doesn't want to take revenge. Now you think about all the people that you want to take revenge. Oh, I'm going to wait for them to, first chance I have, I'm going to push them down the stairs, this kind of revenge. I'm going to wait until they fail. I'm going to be laughing. Look at what you're doing to yourself. Look at the wasted energy that you're wasting on something that doesn't make a difference anymore. There are many people that will tell you, I forgive, but I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget. I'm going to tell you something. If you didn't forgive, if you didn't forget, you never forgive. Rabotai, everybody is going to do is cheshbon nefesh in front of a kadosh baruch Hu. And that's why he tells them, you, the brothers, you're going to stand in front of a kadosh baruch Hu, you're going to give your din v'cheshbon. But as far as I'm concerned, I already forgot. I went on. It belonged to the past. It's water under the bridge. In other words, let go. Now, what is the connection between this and what we have said previously? And this is the connection. Those who care about their grandchildren that are here, and grandchildren that didn't even come to the world yet. Those who care about their grandchildren, in other words, are concerned with the future. That's why the best investment that you can do is invest in young people. All the effort, and this is a message to all people out there, all efforts of shuls or organizations is not for people my age. It's for people your age and younger. We are already a written page. We are already a page that was erased and written and so on and so forth. The binding is kind of getting a little loose, if you know what I mean. Soon we're going to be recycled. But how about those? How about the world in which I would leave to my grandchildren? So those people who think about their grandchildren, who spend the time, who want to give them a bracha, who want to give them an extra push, these are the people who think about the future. And only who thinks about the future, only he who the future is important to him, is able and willing to make peace, to forgive, to move on. And only those who are stuck in the past, are stuck in their fears, in the conspiracies, who operate through their fears, and the fears is their motivator, only those are the ones who are going to do war. They're not the ones who are going to make peace. They are those who are going to remind you the past all the time, and they would live in the past, and they will stuck on the past, and that is going to be their tombstone, because you need not to change with time, you need to adapt. And what saved us through this galut was our willingness to adapt now in order to create a bridge between the past and the future. I was in Israel just a few weeks ago. I went to shuls there. I made it my business on Shabbat, especially every minyan, to go to a different shul. Everybody has, some people do bar hopping, club hopping. I do shul hopping. It was nice. There were new places there. They opened up new places. I just wanted to see how wonderful it is. It's really amazing. And I saw how things changed. Even by the Sfaradim. I went to Ashkenazim, I went to this hat, that kippah. They're all good for me. And I saw even by the Sfaradim, they're no more like big chazanim and so on and so forth. Things change. And you need to adapt yourself to the need of the people. And those shul who did it became bigger. Those who didn't, you saw the same people, but just getting older and older. And there's no new blood. Don't be stuck in the past. Now, if you have this in mind, and you understand what Yaakov Avinu did here by blessing his children, if you understand what Yosef did here, you would understand that to bless and to be blessed, to learn, to teach, and to learn again. You learn, you teach your talmidim, or you teach your children. And what do we say? Mikol melamdai hiskalti. I became wiser from all my masters, all my teachers. Umitalmedai, and from my students, the most. So when you teach, you actually become more knowledgeable. That's how it works. But why would you teach? Because you want to pass it on to the next generation. Because you understand that only rocks will stay here forever. We're all going to die. And we need to hand the torch over again. You need to understand that to bless, to be blessed, to learn, to teach, and to learn, when you do it from love, when you do it with love, when you do it from peace and for harmony, when we have the whole thing, chuta meshulash b'merayin umenutak, a threefold string is very hard to rip. It could, but it's very hard. When you do that, when you know that you have an intact society of grandparents and you don't shove your old parents into nursing homes and you just count the days in which they're going to go to from mothballs into you know what. You make sure that your children are there, because you are, if not, you gozel, you're stealing from your children and you're stealing from your parents. Don't put them into nursing home. Make the connection. Hold both hands. That's why you have two hands. One hand you hold your parents, the other one you hold your grandparents, and you bring them together. This is your bracha. If you want to ever pay your parents, which you could never do, for what they have done for you, little or a lot, don't take away their grandchildren from them. My father says to me, there's an expression in Ladino that they say, to love and to give my children, but to love and to love and to give to my grandchildren. It means double to my grandchildren. My neighbor says, to be a Zaidi is geschmack. To be a grandfather is sweet. You know, of course, the grandchildren go home afterwards. It's a different ordeal. They don't stay with you. You don't have to get up at night. But it's a wonderful thing. Those points, to do those things, are true Jewish values. True Jewish values. When we say Hashem, Oz le'amo yite'en, Hashem will give might to His people. Hashem yevarech et amo b'shalom. What's the connection between Oz, might, and peace? I'll tell you. Now let's look at what Yosef did with his brothers. Don't use the word peace. Al tikra shalom, but rather call it bracha, power. Give me might, oz. Give me the koach to love, to forgive, and to carry on. The essence of peace, harmony, is to love, to let go, and to carry on. You'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do peace. Now, Rabotai, this is true also for husband and wife. Many times recently we have those clashes of husbands and wives. You need special koach. You need to find this within you to love. If you love a person, you can't fight with them. You need to have koach. You need to be brave. Forget it. Just forget. You need to have the ability, the koach, the strength to let go and to carry on. Only strong people do that. Weak people break it. Because it's all about living in the past and not connecting about the future. When parents divorce, they don't think about the outcome of the children because they were involved in the selfishness of their own selves. Hashem oz le'amo yiten, Hashem yevarech et amo b'shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us peace. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us harmony, that we should be harmonized with our families, with our children, with ourselves, with our relation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You should give us the koach, the ability to let go and to carry on in this depth of the galut, that our children and our grandchildren and our great-great-grandchildren will stay loyal Jew, that will practice and they should all be together with us in Eretz Israel, B'viat Mashiach Tzidkenu. Amen.
Amen.